Hello. So today we are going to be talking about how to start a yarn company and in general how to start a company, but specifically yarn dyeing, that is, but not like really dyeing with an E. I started dyeing yarn around my birthday. So a little backstory was I was into knitting and crocheting, but when I got into the knitting world, I discovered hand-dyed yarn. And I just loved how beautiful they were, how luxurious the fibers were, and I thought, this is going to be my calling, is to buy expensive yarn. So I did for a little while, and about a month into it, I got really interested in the colors that they would have painted on the yarns. And there was a specific color that I was looking for that I just couldn't find. I looked and basically went on this hunt online on Google to try to find the specific yarn that I wanted in the most subtle, soft pastel colors that you could find. But I could not find it. So I thought, well, what do you do when you can't find something? You create it. So that's what I did. So I Googled online and tried to look for yarns so that way I could make this specific color. And a website that I stumbled across was KnitPicks. And one good thing about KnitPicks that I realized about a lot of other distributors that sell yarn, wholesale especially, is that it can cost a lot of money because they require a minimum purchase of $1,000. Some are $750, and or memberships or whatnot. So I decided to go with KnitPicks because you can buy a single skein of yarn or you can buy 100 skeins of yarn. It didn't matter. And I kind of knew that I was going to make a lot of mistakes, so I figured why not just go ahead and try to get some yarns, bare yarns on KnitPicks, and then just play around with it. So I did. So I was like, okay, so I made the yarn colors and I basically did so much homework ahead of time that it wasn't hard to make the color that I wanted. I'll never forget the first time I dyed yarn though. It looked atrocious. But then I was like, okay, let's just shimmy this around a little bit and add a couple more colors, and it was perfect. So I did that, and I started to join a lot of fiber groups. So I felt that I needed to join every single fiber community there was. So I joined knitting groups, I have joined crocheting groups, I have joined fiber community groups, all types of groups. And so, yeah. So, also too, you probably want to make sure that you follow their rules, because if you don't, you'll get kicked out like I did, because I was showing my yarns to the group and they don't like that. So I got kicked out, but you live and learn. Anyway, once I started doing that and I got a little bit comfortable, I was showing my yarns off to other people. And I had this lady reach out to me, and she was actually my very, 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 very first customer. And I will attach a little screenshot of her comment to me, but she wrote me and said, how much, for this yarn, are you selling it? And I'm like, oh, no, I'm not selling it. I was just showing it off. And she said, well, if you ever do consider selling it, let me know. So I talked to my husband and I'm like, somebody wants to buy my yarn. Can you believe it? And he's like, what are you going to do? And I'm like, I don't know. I guess sell it. And he's like, yeah, you should. So I did. And I, tried to sell it at the most reasonable price I could because I didn't know any price points or anything like that. And she wanted to buy 2 skeins for me. So I hurried up and made like this really janky label and a thank you card. It was so bad, but I think I used like one of those Ziploc bags to pack her order in. It was just so grotesque, but I had to make do with what I had. So once I did that, I thought, okay, well, I'll open up an Etsy shop. Let me just, try to sell on Etsy. That didn't work out very well, so I decided to take the plunge with Shopify. So I will go into more about the differences between Etsy and Shopify in another video. So leave me a comment below if you are interested in learning more about which platform would be best for you to start a company. So fast forward to May 25th when I have my very first shop update. Now, I want you to know that every day that I tell myself that I'm an entrepreneur, I don't believe it. And I have to pinch myself because it's like, I'm an entrepreneur. You know, it's like, what? No way. So it doesn't really feel like work. It really feels like fun. So it feels odd to call it a job because I'm having so much fun doing it. And I get to be creative and artistic, and I get to do all these things, and everyone encourages, you know, me to do more art, and it's just so overwhelming, all the good vibes. I'm getting emotional, sorry. It's such a blessing to be able to do what you love, what you truly, truly love, day to day, and make a living, to be able to sustain an income, you know, dyeing yarn and doing what you are passionate about. Oh wow, I did not expect to cry in this video. I'm so sorry. So it's just a blessing. I feel so blessed, and I don't know why I'm so blessed, but it's so great. And it is hard work though. I will say that I did not know how hard it was to dye yarn. So when I was buying all these beautiful yarns from indie dyers, I had no idea the amount of manual labor that would go into making these beautiful pieces of art. So you buy yarn and then you put it in a big tray that looks like a buffet tray at a wedding banquet, and you lay the yarn out, and you use twist ties or zip ties, and they're reusable. Did not know there was reusable zip ties. They have them on Amazon. And so that means you can self-release and tighten, and you need those to keep your yarns organized. Measuring cups are really good, so that way you can mix the dyes in the measuring cups and then pour them on your yarn to dye them. And then tongs, the ones with the silicone tips, are really good so they don't snag your yarns. And then an oven, a electric oven that you would take and cook in an RV. I will recommend all these things down in the description box, so that way you guys can check out the items that I use and that work for me. And then also you can get dyes on Amazon as well. There is the major corporation Dharma. They have a store where you can buy all types of different dyes. Make sure it goes along with what you're dyeing. I dye with acid dyes, so I have to use a mordant, and the definition of mordant just means acid. So you can use vinegar or citric acid, which you can buy the citric acid off of Dharma. And then once you have all that, that's basically the bare bones items that you'll need. You will also need a mask that will help. They sell masks on Dharma as well, and on Amazon, that will help with the dust particles. So you don't want to breathe them in. It can possibly cause harmful issues to your body. So you don't want to breathe that in. So when you're mixing with dyes, if it's in its powdered form, if it's in a liquid form, you're okay. So it is a lot of work. So you basically dye the yarns. Once you dye the yarns, you have to cook the yarns, and you have to make sure that the color sets. And then once you do that, you have to wash the yarns, and then you have to dry the yarns, then you have to hank the yarns, and then you have to label the yarns, and then you have to invoice it and make sure that they go to the correct person. Then you have to bag the yarns, and then you have to seal the yarns, then you have to put the addresses on the packages, then you have to go to the mailbox and ship off the package. So that's for like each customer. And that's if they don't have multiple orders. And so It is a lot of work. I honestly can say that I probably work 24/7 off and on if I'm not sleeping. I live, breathe, and devour the yarns that I do. I probably have devoured some of the yarns, breathing them in. I would say that it is a lot of work, more so than I thought. And so I have built the empire that I have, and it has grown exponentially considering from the very first time I started to now. And if you guys are interested in those numbers, leave a comment below and I can make a separate video talking about the growth of that and sharing my authentic numbers with you. I don't mind. I'm very transparent. And also it's not like you guys can't do the math, but either way, I am very excited about this. My advice to you, if you do want to start dyeing yarn, is to check out YouTube videos. That was my go-to. Some YouTube channels that I would recommend will be located in the description box because I don't remember all their names, but Chemnitz is a really good one. She actually will message you back. She's so down to earth and genuine and positive energy and just a great teacher and someone that will help you with everything you need. Plus she experiments with all types of stuff. She has so much great advice. I can't recommend her enough. And then there's someone named Bunny, I think it is. And then there's another lady named A Girl in the Wool. A Girl and Her Wool, just A Girl and Her Wool. She's really nice too. They're all great to watch, easy to watch, and just so open and transparent about their company and dyeing and how they do their artwork. And it's just such a pleasure to watch. Every dyer is different and unique on how they run their company and how they dye their yarns. And it's just nice to kind of adapt all of that. So YouTube has really opened it up for people to learn for free. So I would definitely take that into consideration and take advantage of it. Other than that, if you guys have any other questions for me, you guys can find me on Instagram at Lavender Fiber Co. Shoot me a DM. If I don't respond, it might go to my spam folder in Instagram. Instagram does that a lot, and I try to filter through those. And or leave me a comment below so I can message you guys back any kind of questions you guys have. But I am so thankful to have been able to make this video, and also too, if you guys are thinking about taking the plunge on your passion, do it now. Don't wait, because you'll never know a better chance like the present. So you can, say, oh, I'll do it later, or, maybe one day, or I'm not ready. No, today's that day. It's never too late to start for the rest of your life. So with that, thank you so much for watching. If you guys have any other questions, comments, or concerns, leave them down below and I will get to them as soon as I can.